Exactly. And then when your negative thoughts start speaking, just tell them to shut the F up and I don't know, scream, do something. I was listening to this other podcast and they're saying the girl, she said she'll literally talk out loud to herself. When there's like a negative thought, she'll be like, be quiet, da 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 da, and like literally talk out loud. And maybe that's something you have to do to tune out the
Wait,
negative thoughts.
wait, stop. I heard that too because I heard someone say that they would say it out loud so they can realize how like crazy it
Crazy it
sounds.
sounds.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's what I
that's a good
do.
idea.
And it's helped me, like especially with trying to content myself, like because my anger, and I've been like doing and thinking, like especially when I'm washing the dishes. I don't know why, but like I'm washing the dishes and I'm thinking, and then I'm thinking about like the test and blah blah, and I start talking like out loud. And my dad is like, "You're crazy," and I was like, "It works for me. Leave me alone." Because I'd be like, "Catherine, you better stop." But I'm talking to myself and then saying it out loud. So yeah, I feel like talking out loud, even though you might look crazy, it's helped me. Like for example, I had a situation this week where I really wanted to go off on a person, but then I talk to myself out loud and I say, "No, dude, there's consequences, and you're in a school setting, you can't do it." And then I calm down. So yeah, that helped.
That's
Yeah,
improvement.
being a human is a work in progress.
Yeah. And I can add on more to this conversation if y'all want to take a break a little bit
Yeah, go for it, girl.
because I didn't know if you had like another story. But also another thing that my brother said when it comes to giving ourselves gratitude and grace and being more kind to ourselves, he said that it seems like another thing that we have to realize is that we're going to be okay regardless. We already got degrees behind our names. Literally, I have two bachelor's degree and working on a master's. Same with Kathy. Same with you. You already have a bachelor's. You're in MD school. The thing is, like, if we were to even not even do this, we would be okay. Like, we already have things behind our names, but we're working hard toward our passion. Like, the difference is we're working toward our passions is we're doing something that we really want to do because we didn't have to do any of this. We already went to undergrad, we already got our bachelor's degree, but we're deciding to continue in school because we have a passion for healthcare, we have a passion for helping others, and we see ourselves being a nurse practitioner or being a medical doctor. So that's something else we have to realize. We'll be okay. We're gonna be okay.
Yeah, no, and I think that is probably another thing though that also contributes to the anxiety and the negative self-talk because you're right, like we'll be okay, but I think for me it's like I've wanted this for so long and I fought for this for so long and this was something that popped up in my head for the first block and I'm like and I fought for this for so long. I spent so much time on this journey. I took my family on this journey. Um, I just spent 80 something thousand dollars. Um, what if we're not good enough? But I am obviously good enough. I made it. And I just think that it's like I said, a work in progress, and it's not going to be perfect each time. And I think that's something I've learned. Like it's not going to go the way you expect it. Like that's one thing. My block one, I was like, all right, I'm going to go in. I'm going to have no distractions. It's just going to be you in school. And life doesn't work that way. Lives. And sometimes you just got to work with life, and you got to roll past the punches. And like I said, it's not going to happen the way you want it, but you just got to roll with it sometimes. And that's kind of the mindset I'm trying to take right now.
Exactly. And don't give yourself so much anxiety about just being here because you're already stressing about getting into med school. You put in the hard work behind it, so you know you have that discipline to continue to work, even though when things go against you. Now that you're in medical school, just in a sense, enjoy the moment. You know, you're meant to be here. Imagine if you would have quit a long time ago, you wouldn't even be in this space and you will still have that mindset like, oh, I wish I would have kept going. Like, oh, I should have done this, blah, 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 blah. And something I want to emphasize is that I went to church yesterday and um, one thing that the pastor said, he said, humans or people, one thing we lack is patience. There's so many people who want things so fast, and when they don't get it within the time frame that they want, when they want it, they stop doing it. And one thing about us is that we have been patient. There's many times where we could have just stopped and given up because we didn't get into our healthcare programs the first time we applied, or it was just taking too long to get to where we are now. Like, just imagine if we would have just given up and didn't continue to work toward our dreams, basically.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. You're completely right. And I've been patient with, the journey, and I think I just need to be more patient with myself and just the process. So,
Exactly. Continue to be patient because, we lack, everybody has a vision, but if you don't have that patience behind it, you may miss your chance.
Yeah, it's crazy how, like, going back to what your brother said, Linda, how, like, he's our listener, he listens to our episodes. It's crazy how, like, an outsider listening, and he just sees things way different than we see it, like when he was like, well, you already made it, like, why are you guys, like, worried? And then I'm like, he's right. Like, what he said is right. Like, we already made it. Like, why am I, like, being so hard? Why am I getting so stressed? Why am I overworking my head when you already made it? You're just doing this because you love what you do, and you want to, do it for the, for the people and help others. But it's just crazy how you don't see it, but an outsider does. And it is just, yeah, I just wanted to make comment about that because I was just like, yeah, he's right. Like, what? Like, what? Like,
Yeah. Make you look at it differently, because even when he called me, and even after we recorded that episode, the episode 77, when I feel like we were just all emotional, and Kathy was trying to hold back her emotion because Jasmine and I, we were just already taken out. We were crying and everything. And then again, me being hard on myself, I was like, dang, Linda, it seems like every episode that we're putting out, we're crying. Like, every other episode, we're crying. So when my brother called me, like, in the back of my head, I was like, dang, because I know he'll tell me the truth. And I thought he was going to say that we're too emotional. And I even asked, I said, do you think that our podcast is becoming just overly vulnerable, where, like, we're crying too much? And he was like, why do you say that? And again, that was because of my own insecurities, in a sense. Not even insecurities, but just, I guess, the fear of being vulnerable and people judging me about it, for it. But he said, no, like, what we're doing is great. We're literally showing people how it is, the true, what we're going through. Some people may cover this side up, but it's like, no, this is the part of life we're in right now. We are feeling these emotions, and it's okay, because again, it's uncomfortable, and it's gonna be uncomfortable because this is our first time. This is our first time doing this.
yeah. And I agree because I also feel, obviously, I do think it was your insecurities like that were causing you to feel that way as well. Because I consider myself a very emotional person, and it's something that I'm still trying to like work on because I'm always really emotional. But I also think that I agree with your brother in the sense that we're showing people the true realities of what it means to be a student in healthcare, or what it even, we're even showing people like the humanity side of healthcare, like, like all the emotions that we have and everything that's driven us to follow this path. Like, I think for people to see that, I think instead of seeing healthcare workers a certain way, they might see us more human. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's a side that a lot of people don't get to see, because in when you're working or when you see a nurse, like, they have to stay professional. But I think when we get to show people this side of us, it's like, oh no, they're just like us. They feel these emotions. Likewise with students who are feeling this way, who may feel ashamed that they have these emotions, imposter syndrome, all the being overly emotional or whatever, like, they'll come to realize that they're not the only ones. And I think finding like solidarity will help them, I think, just come into their own better.
Yes, and acknowledge and know that it's okay to be feeling these emotions. They're normal. It's not something to be embarrassed of. It's okay to be fearful. It's okay to cry. And of course, understand where those emotions are coming from so we can address them and not let it like overwhelm us in a sense. Um because like you said, us talking about this is helping others see the trueness of it. And that was another question that I asked my brother. And I said, when I said I was like super depressed after the nursing convention thing that I went to, and I say, hey, should I've told the people I'm not, I'm not in the best, not state, but like I don't see nursing right now in the way that they do. Like, right now I hate it. I don't want to say hate, but right now I do not like being in school. I'm over it. I'm just trying to survive. Is that something I should have said? And he said, yeah. And the person could take it how they want it. If there's a person who say like, oh no, you shouldn't be feeling that way, that's a person not for you. There's someone who would say like, oh, I've been in your shoes before. I understand. This too shall pass in a sense and you'll be okay. But he said, just speak your mind and speak the truth because that's all we can do.
And I agree because I went to what was it? A cardiology seminar. I don't know, like a cardiology seminar. And they had these cardiologists and they were talking. And one of the things that they said was, we know it's really hard. Like, and they were so vulnerable. Like, I was not expecting them to be that vulnerable. They were like, it's really hard. They're like, I struggled in residency. Um, there was moments where I wondered if this was for me. And I was like taken aback. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe they're actually like saying this. Like, you never hear this stuff. No one ever talks about this, you know? And they were like, please hang in there. They're like, the best thing you can do for yourself is hang in there. They're like, it's going to be hard. And there are going to be days where you're going to want to quit. And if it's something you truly love, they're like, we promise you it will be worth it. But they were like, make sure that that is something like that specific specialty, because we're talking about, matching and specialties and stuff. They were like, just make sure that specialty is for you because if it's not for you, then it might be a lot more difficult to stay on that path. But they're like, if it's something you want to do, it's going to be hard, but just stick to it. And for me, I loved hearing that because I think they just made it more realistic. Like the feelings that I was feeling, like I was only in block two and I'm already struggling, and them just telling us that it's going to be hard. Like, I don't know. I loved hearing the true and the rawness of what people go through.
Exactly. And I feel like that's more of what we need to see and hear because with social media, all you see is like the positive side of things, not the negative side of things. And of course, social, you don't want to see negativity all the time, but like show some truth to it as well. So, we won't be so embarrassed about being overly emotional about certain things because we feel that something is wrong with us because we're feeling these things. But in reality, it's a part of life. We're gonna have these emotions. And again, it's okay to have these emotions.
Yeah. And like I said, like that that situation, it like motivated me because I was like, okay, what I'm feeling is normal and I just have to work, like push past it instead of letting my emotions get to me because I was like, oh, I'm in my mood or I'm in my funk. Um, it like hearing what they were telling me, like, okay, they went through it too, but they made it. So now I just gotta get up. And like, it gave me a great day. Like I went home, started studying, and like, it just gave me a positive mindset and it gave me like the energy to keep going. And I don't know, it was just really good.
Yeah, and so there was a situation that happened this week, and I didn't know people see me that way because I don't know, it was just weird. So I was with one of my classmates and I had a meeting with my teacher and whatever, and then she was testing me about some stuff and she caught me off guard, but I knew the material, thank God. And after I hang up with my professor, she was like, "Girl, like you are so like you're doing well, you're so smart, like you do this, you do that." And then in my head, I was like, if only you knew. And then she's like, how could you teach me? And I was like, look, it's not easy. Like I try to make it seem that I could be smart, I could know these things, but it wasn't just because like I just woke up and knew these things. Like, like it's hard. And but then it's crazy because it's not the first time that happens to me, that people think that I'm just so put together and I know it all and I know these things, and I'm just like, if only you knew, like, what I go through, or how my life for me sometimes is chaotic because I have so many things going on, but nobody has any idea because they don't see it. So
Yeah.
it's true, like it's true to add some reality, like, yeah, like you said, Linda, like, yeah, just speak your truth, like, yeah, add reality, add just how life it is, instead of just painting like colors on top of it.
Yeah.
So
And then when your teachers and your peers were telling you all these positive things, did you feel it? Like, oh yeah, I know I'm smart. I know I did this. Or were you negative in your head saying like, ah, they're just being nice, or like did you believe it?
so when so first of all, me knowing what I like, doing what I did with my professor, I was surprised of myself because I thought I knew nothing, but it turns out that I know something. So, and then after I hanged up, I was like, oh my God, that was horrible. Like, I was sweating, I was uncomfortable. And then she's like, the way that my classmate was like, the way that you asked the questions, the flow, how did you do it? And I was like, oh my God, I thought I did horrible. And she's like, no, like, you did it very smooth. And now, so this whole time, like, and then that's what I said, that it's easy for me to see the good things in other people, but when people do see the good things in me, I'm like, are you sure? Are you like, because I'm so insecure about my knowledge or the things
We
that I'm
are our
capable
worst
of.
critics.
Exactly. So that's what I was just gonna say, just believe it. If you have that negative thought of like, oh, they're just being nice, just be like, no, I know I'm the shit. I got this. I know. I know. Thank you. Take those compliments and be like, okay, thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's important to like, I feel like it's important to speak our truth. And I'm happy that your brother say that we're not like overly emotional, that we're just being real.
Yeah. And he said to not think as being overly emotional. He just says accept the crying. It's okay to be emotional. Crying allows you to feel. When you don't cry, you're unable to feel. And that's something that and he said for some people that's a gift. There's some people that want to cry and is unable to cry. And I know you've mentioned that too, Kathy, that there's some moments where you want to cry, but you're just in a sense angry, where your anger comes out instead of crying. And he also said with that, that's just your anger protecting your hurt. Like in reality, like you're really hurt, but you show it as anger because you don't want to show that you're hurt. And that's just something that Jasmine and I, with the crying and stuff, acknowledging it's okay, and you with the anger, acknowledging that it's okay to feel hurt and let yourself cry as well. And I know those are tough pills to swallow because I told him I grew up with people saying that crying was like a sign of weakness. So like oh my God, look at me. So in my adult life, I had to, I'm still kind of teaching myself like, no, it's okay to cry and it's not a sign of weakness. But again, because that's something that I always had in the back of my head, it's like a constant tug of war. And same with you, Kathy, that Jasmine, she was already, she always said like, oh, I'm emotional, in a sense that Jasmine, she's okay with crying more than I am. Um,
I think it's because I was raised differently and I was told it's okay to cry. And so I cry all the time.
exactly. And then Kathy, I don't know how you were brought up, but I feel like maybe you had to hide your emotions and stuff with anger. And that's why my brother kept emphasizing to just understand like your childhood traumas and how that shows up in your adult life, and kind of protect that child and cater to that child as well.
Yeah, and it's not funny, but like it's weird that we're talking about it right now because I've had like a hard week this week. because I had feelings. Like I just had a lot of feelings in me. And I'm just like, I want to cry. Like, I don't know. But then it's because I have, like, have you said, like, I've been raised of like holding in my emotions. And then I'm like, and then I also been taught to be like, well, if you're crying, it's because like something's wrong with you. Like, what's wrong with you? Why are you crying? So is this whole like I felt because I've been so busy this whole week. I've been like meetings after meetings after meetings, doing homework, doing assignments, doing this, doing that. That these past 2 days, which was yesterday and today, that I kind of like I literally like I sit down and breathe, and I just felt all these things. And then I'm like, I want to cry, but I don't know why. And I want to cry, but I don't know why. And then I just have all these emotions, and I was like, what is wrong with me? Like literally I was watching a show last night cooking, and I just wanted to cry. And I'm like, what the heck? And it was a show of like singing, like nothing that would like really make you cry. And then I was like, I talked to myself, and I was like, you can't cry because Tiago is here. And then cause it was just me and Tiago. And then even this morning again, like I know I have to let it out. I will eventually today or tomorrow, but I know I have to let it out because but then it's also like me judging me. That's it. I feel that like that's why I don't let it out, because it's me judging me, saying like, why are you crying? Like nothing happened in your life right now that that's sad, or that's making you cry. Like everything is okay. Why are you crying? And then so yeah, so it's the truth. And then it's like you say, it's like a hard pill to swallow, and I get so, I guess, upset about that, because it's just like, dude, if I was just only able to allow myself to cry, allow myself to feel things, and it's annoying that I do not let it, because it's like this whole fighting that I've been having in my head this past 2 days, trying to like, why are you crying? Why are you crying? Why are you crying? Like what is, like what is going on within you? And then I didn't even want to talk about it, but it's funny that you brought it up. And then I was like, well, damn, I might as well just say it now because I have no other option. And we are talking about the subject. And yeah, it's the truth. It's just you have to be aware of your trauma, but it's hard when, like, I've been with the trauma for so many years that I have to unpack. And I feel like an onion. I literally feel like an onion. Like I have so many layers that I have to peel off, and even some layers that I'm not even, or traumas that that I am not even aware of. Like we were saying, when we have trauma and we forget about like that situation, and I'm like, well, maybe I want to remember that situation. Maybe I want to address the situation so I can unpack everything that happened. And that way I don't have all these feelings and all these consequences because of that situation and many other situations and it's annoying because I am trying to like think about it and talk about it, but I legit don't remember. And it's just like, no, dude, like you need to, but like you need to remember, like somehow, because I know they've done like hypnotization or like something that they do where they really force it out on you, and I'm like, maybe that's what I need, so I could just let it out. So
Yeah,
yeah.
do some ayahuasca.
Yeah.
We'd go to like a whole retreat. That's it's been in my back of my mind, but because I'm kind of scared to do that. But they have like retreats where you do like ayahuasca, and I believe I'm saying it right, where they give you like a tea or something you drink, and like everything that you had just bottled up, it'll come out. You may even see yourself talking to past ancestors who are trying to like to guide you, telling you like it's okay to let go and just stuff like that. I've heard a lot of positive things about ayahuasca. And a part of me do want to try it, but then the scary part of me is like, oh no, girl, you're gonna see snakes, you're gonna see spiders, you're gonna see all the negative stuff. So that's the reason why I'm on the fence. But
Like,
that's
what if
just,
it goes bad? Like,
yes, it
yeah,
goes left.
yeah.
Because it can go left for some people. But again, that's just when you told me that you kind of blocked that certain parts of your life, and it's hard for you to actually remember when you want to remember. Again, some people, that happens a lot with people who's was trying to protect themselves, where the easiest way to kind of protect themselves and heal was to forget. But, you know, like you said, now, and it's, it's affecting you now, like in your adult life. I didn't know if you wanted to say something, Jasmine. Um, but again, I feel like all of our episodes, it turns into a therapy episode in the potent dose of three crybabies. But again, we're just being very transparent. And
I
that's
mean,
just us trying to learn how to, like, we're in this space in life where we're trying to learn and get over it as well, or grow from it. Um, yeah. What are you gonna say, Jasmine?
I was just gonna say, like, it does sometimes feel like we are just talking about, like, you know, mental health or whatever, but like at the end of the day, it's what affects us, it's what is on our daily lives. And so we're not the only ones dealing with this. And I know
Exactly.
this will be helpful to someone else who may be like, why am I crazy?
And it's not craziness. Is That's another thing, because society and the U.S. we have, and just our upbringing and culturally, that makes us feel that when we have feelings, it's a sign of weakness. It's a sign of being crazy. When you talk to a therapist, it's because something's mentally wrong with you. But your mental state drives the way you move. So that's the reason why you can go to the doctors for like physical things, that's, a broken leg or just something. But if you're not focused on your mental state, you can see how that shows up in every aspect of your life. And that's something, again, like we said, that we're trying to acknowledge and fix, and to tune out the negativity that constantly tries to overshadow our success.
Yeah, no, for real. Like you hit it on the spot when you said that you go to a doctor for a broken leg, whatever. Like it's so true. Like if you're not in a good place, I mean, literally the brain drives everything. It drives everything, your decision making, your emotions, everything. So if you're not okay, it doesn't matter what you do, it's going to affect it. So,
Exactly.
if it's something that you're struggling with, try to find ways to work on it, try to find ways to um, deal with it because it's not going to go away.
Exactly. And like you said, your brain and your mental health is like the motherboard. It drives everything. It drives the way you move. So it's uncomfortable, because like I said, as I talk, I'm trying to make sure this stuff registers in my head as well. It's uncomfortable, but we have to do but we have to address these things, in order to grow. And because you guys are just so quiet, and to just bring it back into school and everything. And I do feel like that's another reason why we've been struggling so much in school, in addition to our imposter syndrome, and dealing with just all these emotions. If you have this stuff under control, I don't know, you can cut that out.
I guess for me, like I agree with your brother, and um, what we show is what we deal with, and it's okay, and it's normal, and it's the reality, and um, it may feel uncomfortable to share it at times, I think on all our parts, but the truth is it's our truth. And I think in being our authentic selves, not only are we helping others, but I also think we're helping ourselves because, like, I've seen how much just talking to each other has poured out of us. Like, it's poured, like, I've seen so much growth in Kathy, just like acknowledging feelings and talking about feelings. Like, I've never seen Kathy, I think, this open and this, like, vulnerable. Um, Same with you, Linda. I feel like I haven't seen you cry that much, and I've known you so long.
Girl.
Um, so I
Yeah.
think it's really like causing us to open up, not to just our listeners, but open up to ourselves and like finding who we are and finding out like what it is that we need and want and just like I don't know, identity wise, you know?
Yeah, and I to emphasize what you're saying about myself and Kathy, I do feel like this is the most open I've ever been. You know, I was just like a closed off shell, whatever you, however you describe me, the first couple of episodes, Jasmine. You know, I'm just a block. But I do feel like I do talk about my feelings and how I feel way much more. And a lot of it has to do, I feel that it comes from this podcast, being vulnerable, talking about things that I would not talk about at all. And I have seen a difference in me and how I view myself when it comes to just like how I'm feeling.
Yes, same. Like I sometimes I even surprise myself on the things that I am willing to talk about in the podcast or the things that I said because it's not easy. And yeah, like I how can I say this? Like I'm very social and I talk and I joke, but only like surface wise. Like I would not allow people to see like certain parts of me that I have put on this podcast and that I have tell you guys and that I have been working on. So I am, yeah, it's very surprising to me that I'm like, wow, like even though it's only about to be 2 years in this podcast, almost, I can see the change of myself and our change. And I find it beautiful because we started trying to help others and we're ending it helping others and helping ourselves. So I am glad that we are real. I am super happy that Jasmine passed her exams and just everything that is going on in our lives right now.
I honestly
Yeah,
think
who
that
would have
was
known? Who would have known we would have been
exactly,
here?
girl, who would have known? And I honestly think that was a perfect and perfectly said, Kathy. And to just leave it at that, leave it right there, because what you said is the truth. So again, thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Till next time, bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of PD3 with your hosts Linda, Jasmine, and Kathy. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe at a potent dose of 3 so that you never miss an episode and your weekly dose.